Hello everyone and welcome to video number 2 in Pandaween 2019. Today I am doing another cosplay story time that is obviously going to have to do with Halloween. I was actually torn between two Halloween cosplay story times that I wanted to tell, so I asked everybody on Patreon what their preference would be, and this was by far the popular vote. So thank you so much to everyone over on Patreon who voted and for just being awesome in general. So yeah, today I'm going to be telling you guys the story about how in grade 9, so my first year of high school, I was the only person in my class dressed up for Halloween, and it was as awkward and embarrassing as it sounds. Just a quick reminder before we jump into the story, I wanted to give a little reminder that I have my Pandaween limited edition merch up on Teespring if you haven't checked it out already, and I am having a sale right now. So until October 8th, you can use the code Pandaween for 10% off. I have phone cases, I have t-shirts, hoodies, and then this really cool all over print t-shirt. If you guys want to check that out, you can check it out at teespring.com/stores/AnyaPanda. A bunch of people have picked some up already, so thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. I wasn't sure if people were gonna really like this design, so it means a lot to see that people have been enjoying it, and I really look forward to seeing your guys' photos wearing it. So yeah, that out of the way, let's get into today's story. So this story takes place 10 whole years ago in my first year of high school. That was my first ever year of cosplaying. At the time, I was super obsessed with Mario to like a very cringy degree. If you guys have seen, I did a video a while ago where I read cringy Mario poetry that I wrote when I was in the 8th grade. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out because it gives you a lot of context for kind of like where I was at that point in my life. So it was 2009, and ever since the year before, so Halloween 2008, I decided that I really wanted to be Peach from Mario because she was like my absolute favorite character of all time at that point. So my mom very lovingly put together this gorgeous Peach dress for me to wear, and I was obviously like super thrilled because Mario was just like my whole world, and Peach had been like one of my basically like dream cosplays before I even knew what a dream cosplay was. So I was very, very excited. The thing is, obviously, when you go from middle school to high school, things go a little bit differently. So in middle school, I don't know if it's like this for everyone. It's probably not even like that, like in general, and like in terms of how schools are. At least in my part of Canada, we have elementary school, which is kindergarten to grade 5. We have middle school, which is grade 6 to grade 8. It's the worst time you'll ever have in your life. And then from there, you have high school, which is grade 9 to grade 12. So in middle school, how they do it is if Halloween falls on a weekday, then everybody dresses up for Halloween on that day. But in the event that Halloween falls on a weekend, and obviously there's no school on the weekend, everyone would dress up on the Friday beforehand. If it was like, for example, the 29th fell on a Friday and then Halloween was on the 31st and that was a Sunday, everyone would still just dress up on the 29th, even though it wasn't officially Halloween because it was the last opportunity for everyone to dress up for Halloween at school. And it was a huge thing, and like it was always really fun for me getting to dress up at school. And like the previous year I was Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender, was super excited about that costume, but nobody in my entire middle school knew who I was. Which was kind of sad, but I still had like an absolute blast getting to walk around the school dressed as Katara, even though nobody knew who I was. So I was really excited for the next year to get to dress up as Peach, and everybody would be in their costumes and people would like actually know who I was this time. So it would be like even better. So I was like super stoked about this. In high school, 2009, Halloween fell, I think on like a Saturday, but I figured like, you know, everyone will still dress up on the Friday before, just like you did in middle school. Y'all know where this is going. There was also a Halloween dance, just like in middle school. However, this dance didn't happen on the Friday like it did in middle school because it was after hours, whereas the one in middle school actually happened during school hours. So they had the dance like midway through the week so that people, I guess, wouldn't get drunk and hungover because you'd have to go to school the next day. And then you had like the Friday before Halloween. So I go to the Halloween dance, I have a great time, but I don't bring my Peach costume because I didn't want it to like get wrecked. I was very protective of this costume. So I was like, no, it's the Halloween dance. It's not actually Halloween. So like the costumes aren't gonna be as hardcore. So I'll just kind of throw something together and then I'll actually wear my Peach costume to school on the Friday because that will be like the main day. So the days leading up to this Friday before Halloween, I'm asking people like, oh, are you gonna be wearing your costume to school? Like, what are you gonna be wearing? This should have been a huge red flag for me, but pretty much like the main response that everyone said was like, oh, well, Friday isn't Halloween, so I wasn't gonna dress up. And I was like, oh, well, like, it's, you know, it's like this honorary Halloween. And they're like, oh, okay, well, like, I was just gonna wear mine to the dance. I wasn't really gonna, like, wear it to school. And I was like, oh, that's weird because like I really wanted this cool experience just like in middle school where everybody dresses up. But like people's responses to me asking if they were gonna be dressed up for Halloween should have been like a major red flag, but it absolutely was not. So the day comes, I have my mom very nicely pack my peach dress because like I don't want it to get wrinkled. I didn't want to fold it up or anything. So she like has in this garment bag. She could tell that I was really like hell-bent on getting this cool experience dressing up as Peach to school and everything. She figured all of this stuff out. She had like this very nice way of getting everything packed. So I had decided, my period before lunch, I had gym class. So I decided that I would take the dress packed up and like just go in casual clothes for like the first half of the day, and then after gym class I would change into it. I think I even maybe got like driven to school that day so that nothing would happen to the dress. Like I was so protective of this dress and like so hell-bent on all this. Oh my gosh. So I show up to school and like no one is dressed up. And that there again should have been like the second red flag. I don't know why it wasn't. It was a decade ago, so like it's really hard to figure out like what was going on in my little like 14-year-old brain. So I guess I was also under the impression like, oh, maybe other people have gym class, so they'll all be changing after lunch. Maybe that was my thought process, so that's a really weird thought process. Either that or maybe I just like felt like I was in too deep, like, you know, my mom had already packed the dress, like there's no turning back now, I have to wear this dress. I don't really know, but either way, I get dressed up in the locker room and put everything on. And actually, fun fact, if you guys remember, my high school bully wanted my cosplay, Chanel was actually in the locker room too with her little squad. So they're watching me, and you can tell that they're watching me like, oh, like, what a loser. And I remember I was so nervous to like walk out by myself in this dress because I didn't want to get embarrassed. Again, I don't even know why at that point I still wore the dress. But either way, for some reason, I felt like I had to wear this dress. Or maybe I felt like, again, more people were gonna be dressed up after lunchtime. I don't really know. So I didn't want to walk out by myself because I felt too awkward. So I asked the group of them like, hey, can I leave the locker room with you guys so that I'm in a group because I feel awkward wearing this. I didn't have any friends in my class. So, you know, I asked like the mean girl squad if I could go with them, and they were like, yeah, okay, whatever, I guess. I'm getting it on, and she's asking like kind of snarkily, where did you get the dress? And I'm like, oh, my mom made it for me. And she's like, oh, that must be so handy. So I guess she was jealous, but she was also like, you could tell, hardcore judging me for like putting on this costume. So I walk out with them. I feel very awkward. I feel very sheepish, and I get out there, and like lo and behold, lunchtime, there's still basically nobody dressed up. I think in the entire school, there was one girl who was in a higher grade, and she was kind of casually dressed up as a cat. And then there was another girl who was in my grade, but not in my class. And she was actually like super done up, and she was dressed as Marie Antoinette, and she went hardcore. I think like she and I were on the same page. We were both expecting that was going to be like middle school. And so like she brought her A game. I tried to bring my A game, but like nobody else was dressed up. So I guess like that was a little bit reassuring, but it was still super awkward because obviously I didn't know who this like older girl was. And this girl who was in my grade but not in my class obviously was not in my class. So I kind of like saw her once or twice in the hallways, but it's not as if like in my class I had someone else who was dressed up. Like it was just me. So I'm walking through the hallways. I'm in this like huge pink shiny gown. And just looking back, it's like the cringiest thing. So I get to my first class after lunchtime, and what makes this really awkward looking back is that like I was known as like the cringy, nerdy Mario fan kid. Like everyone in my class knew that I really loved Mario. They obviously thought that it was like super cringy. I was like the super unpopular nerd kid. And so the fact that like I'm the only person dressed up, and I'm dressed up in like this Peach costume, like you could tell people were judging me so hardcore. Like just looking back is the cringiest, most embarrassing thing, because like I could feel people's judgment. I was like, well, I'm in the dress, like I just can't turn back now. This is the hill I die on, I guess. Our teacher was super nice. She was actually like, oh, no one else is dressed up, like how lame. And she was like, oh, you look very beautiful. Are you the princess from Mario? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. And like she did some like Halloween games, and she gave us candy and stuff. So like that was nice. But it still did not really take much of the edge off of just this very embarrassing situation. Oh, I'm picturing this small, frizzy-haired kid, face full of acne, dressed as Peach, feeling super embarrassed. Out of a school of like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids, it was me and basically one other girl who wasn't even my class, who was dressed up for Halloween. Obviously you're grade 9, so everyone thinks that you're like small and like lame to begin with. So all the people in like the older grades are seeing this and being like, oh, that grade 9 dressed up for Halloween, like what a noob, right? And then everybody in my class who already thinks that I'm a massive nerd and thinks I'm super uncool, seeing me like dressed up, it was such an embarrassing experience. And like, I just did not pay attention to any of the red flags. I was just really, I guess, hoping for that experience of like when you're in middle school and everybody dresses up for Halloween, it's fun, but high school is not like middle school. That's what I learned very much the hard way that day, and it was like, it was so embarrassing. So ever since then, I never dressed up for Halloween ever for school. Even when Halloween falls on like a weekday, and so it was a day of school on actual Halloween, I still never dressed up. And like everybody actually did. Like the following years when it was actually Halloween on a weekday, people would dress up for Halloween, and I just never would. I'd be like, no, I'm not taking that chance anymore. I did it once, it was awful. It's not gonna happen. I would always dress up for the Halloween dance. Like Halloween dance, I brought my A game. You know, I was Ramona Flowers one year, had a super great time. I wore my maca costume another day, had a super great time. I would always bring my A game for the Halloween dance. I would totally kill it. I'd have a great night. And then on actual Halloween at school, I would give zero shits. It would just like, it was never gonna happen. So the moral of the story is, pay attention to red flags, first of all. If you're going into high school, certain events like Halloween, probably not going to be done the same way as middle school, so it's important to like ask a lot of questions. And if it seems like people are lukewarm towards the idea of dressing up for honorary Halloween, or maybe even Halloween in general, that probably means that isn't going to be a thing. And you know, for me, better safe than sorry. But also another way to do it would be to still like bring kind of more of a casual outfit for Halloween at school, pack it in your bag, because so much work and care went into getting this dress ready, getting it packed up for me to wear it at school. And so when I actually got there, like, I guess looking back, again, it was a decade ago, I can't really remember what I was thinking, but I guess looking back, I just like felt like I still had to do it just because my mom had put so much effort into packing this costume up for me. So like bring something that's easy to just like, you know, pack in your bag, and then if it turns out nobody's dressed up, it's no big deal. You don't feel like you have to take it out. That said, please, I'm really curious, did people at your high school dress up for Halloween, or like at any point when you were in school was dressing up for Halloween or honorary Halloween a thing? I'm really curious to know. And if this has ever happened to you, please also let me know, because I need reassurance that I was not the only one. Because still, looking back, like I said, 10 years ago, this is super embarrassing. But I will say that the day after, on actual Halloween, I went to my first ever convention dressed in that peach costume and had the absolute time of my life. So I had a really good experience on actual Halloween to kind of cleanse my palate, but still looking back, it was very embarrassing. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for video 2 of Pandaween 2019. I'll see you guys in the next one. And again, if you want to pick up some limited edition Pandaween merch, link will be down in the description. And for a limited time, you can use the code Pandaween for 10% off your orders. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you guys all next time, but until then, Panda Faces, please be sure to take care. Bye.